Welcome to r/Tales from Tech Support, where we get to have a little chuckle at the technologically disadvantaged. Like me. I'm Uncle Reddit, and have I got a story for you. I love it when they threaten to figure it out for themselves. Caller, I'm looking at my Outlook and a bunch of my emails are missing. Me. Okay, I'm looking at your Outlook data file and it's really large. As that file grows larger and larger, the chances for corruption increase. Short term, we can scan and repair it. For the long-term fix, I recommend archiving old email to reduce the size of that PST file. Remember, we talk about this once a year and you say you hate archiving and you never want to do it because you lose emails? Caller, we've never talked about this before. Me. Yup, every time you have an Outlook problem. Caller, well, can you tell me how to archive my old email? Me. Do you still have the notes I asked you to take last time? Caller, you have never told me about this. Me. I have, repeatedly, for years. I'll be happy to step you through the process, but please take notes so you can refer to them in the future. Caller, forget it, I'll just figure it out on my own. Me. I wouldn't recommend that. There's some default settings you have to change, otherwise Outlook will slow way down. Caller, I'll figure it out. Click. Don't threaten me with a good time. Shoot. You want to ignore people when they tell you over and over and over the same stuff, and then argue with them when they tell you again? I'd leave them hanging. Screw it up. Lose all your email. I don't care. What would you do? Tell me in the comments down below. Another win for the little guy? I work as a field tech for an ISP, a local company in the US. Client has been having issues lately with their gateway router, which is almost 10 years old. Client, being a fairly high-functioning adult with more sense than God gave a goose, uses this thing called a search engine, actually figures out that their gateway router is probably old and replaces it. Client gets a fairly basic home mesh system from the local box store, avoiding the kit from those vendors who want to just suck up all your data. Client gets his system home, plugged in, and powered up, correctly. Client's smart TV, less than a year old, from the people who make those cool phones, connects up to the new Wi-Fi network without a problem, and starts throwing a cannot communicate with server error. Client calls mesh system support. Support blames TV manufacturer. Client calls TV support. Support blames mesh system manufacturer. Client calls mesh system manufacturer support. Conference is in TV manufacturer support. Both mutually agree to blame the ISP. ISP phone support determines client's connection is working great. Warns of service fee, but client's had enough and is totally willing to pay the $50 to have someone actually look at their stuff. Enter me, field tech. I quickly determined that the new router/mesh system is not in fact routing IP traffic. It's actually eating traffic. I log into the gateway and then run the initial setup process. The new router begins routing traffic. The TV works. Client mutters about recovering the service fee from their router manufacturer. Field tech agrees. It's really not so much the client's fault here either. She downloaded the appropriate smartphone app, connected to the appropriate Wi-Fi network, and saw the pretty congratulations you're online screen presented by said app. Just missed the tap here to finish setting up your network. Mostly I'm impressively aghast at the support for the mesh system. How did they miss needing to finish the initial setup? Oh, the old "it's not my job" line. Pretty much. Why is it nobody can take responsibility, even if it's not your fault? At least be willing to look into things to see where the problem actually is before you start blaming everybody else. Now you have 2 reviews, Dave. I'm Dave, and once again we're going through a mass migration from one tool to another. About 15K will participate in this move. I'll call the new tool Truthsayer, which is almost as absurd as the real name it was branded with. And once again, I have drafted extensive documentation, churned out quick reference guides, wrote reports, compiled FAQs, held demo sessions, held Q&A sessions, presented road shows, recorded presentations for replay, composed WBTs, gone through troubleshooting with the vendor, etc., etc. I'm constantly incorporating feedback from all of this to make it all more appealing, accessible, concise, etc. All of this and many more is listed in our new Tools Sorted and Organized landing page, a one-stop shop if you have any questions. was chatting with my coworker Stan today when I noticed the landing page had gotten a review. I didn't even know the pages could get reviews. I leaned forward and saw it was a 1-star review. So it sucks, I guess? Dave. Huh, our Truthsayer landing page got a review. Stan. Oh, what is it? Dave. No comments, but they did give it a star. A 1-star review. Stan. So how many reviews so far? Dave. Just that one review. Stan. I see. Here, Dave, I'll help you out. Your page now has 2 1-star reviews. Gotta go. Click. I checked, and yes, seconds after our call, there were now 2 1-star reviews. Thanks, Stan. Oh, Stan, what a guy. What a pal. There's always that one guy in the office who's just so eager to chip in and help out the team. Duh. Oh, that's what you meant. I do customer tech support. Recently, I had a very long call about a customer's elderly computer. Their display was showing 2 windows. Tried to remote in. No joy. Checked for documentation of what I understood to be the issue based on the customer's responses to my questions. No luck. After about 40 minutes, I realized that the customer's operating system had gone through an automatic update and wiped the customer's customized display, including the desktop photo and programs they left open, and it was that which prompted the call. 15 minutes later, I was able to guide them back to the way the computer looked before the update. Our target time is less than 30 minutes per call. Hopefully I get some short snappers in the next couple weeks. Yeah, I find it pretty rare that things will go that smoothly, so I'm hoping you're right, but overall I think your numbers are going to be screwed. Client cannot accept that they're wrong. Hey, Tales from Tech Support. First time posting, which is odd since I've worked all my professional life in application support and couldn't think of a story to post even though I have thousands. My first job in London was providing first and second line of support to a reporting software my company built and sold to clients in the financial sector. We had 2 types of clients, hosted or in-house install. While the first were easy to debug, log into their environment, replicate and assess, all while having full access to the back end. The others were less so for obvious reasons, yet we kept a virtually stale copy of their initial environment to provide some semblance of support. This story obviously is about the latter type. The software itself was like Tableau, in which you add objects to a sheet, graphics, tables, images, to create a template, and the workflow fills in the latest data as often as you want it, daily, weekly, monthly, and generates the final report in the format you want, the most common being Word or PDF. Also, the software used a proprietary third-party software to convert Word documents into PDF. Don't recall which one it was, but we would buy the license ourselves and would give it to the client for their in-house install. We didn't only recommend this software in our install documentation, but insisted that they used it since our product only supported this vendor in particular, meaning it could probably work with others, but we only tested this particular one, so could only ensure it works as expected with it and it alone. So the ticket in question was floating around for a while, bouncing from one support member to another, and no one could figure it out. We were only 4 on the support team, so it was bound to land on my plate eventually. Also, side note, I was the youngest by far in the team, and my imposter syndrome was high, so I was dreading my turn to have a go at this issue. The problem was that the generated PDF reports were showing the objects completely misaligned compared to what they were supposed to look like. Moreover, this only happened when generating PDFs. Word docs came out as expected. So, this being an in-house installation, we could only try to replicate it on our end to no avail. A coworker tried to get a copy of their database to get our environment in line with the client's, but that was turned down because of sensitive information that they couldn't share. What's the point of non-disclosure contracts? Another coworker tried a screen sharing session, but all it helped for was to see the report being generated incorrectly, since their IT team wouldn't let us take a look at the back end and see if the software was installed properly. By then, the client was getting impatient with how long it was taking for this issue to be resolved. So having this information, telling me how tied my hands were, plus the pressure on being the last line of defense, I do the first thing I can come up with. I check an Acrobat Reader, who is the PDF producer of the file the client sent. Usually you would expect to see the name of the third-party software as the creator, but lo and behold, The client was using some other tool for the PDF conversion. Why? As I said, we provided the license for free, so it wasn't a matter of saving pennies. So I happily send my reply to the client stating, "Unfortunately, you're using a software we don't support. Please use product name as is specified in our documentation." One would expect the issue to be closed. The client was caught red-handed using our software incorrectly, thus in breach of contract. However, as you read the title of this story, this was not the case. All I got in return was a condescending reply to my email, CCing the account manager of our company and my boss, stating, "This is ridiculous, account manager. This has taken long enough. Can't someone fix the damn problem?" I wish I could say the story had a satisfying ending, but unfortunately for me, my company was too British in their mentality and followed the creed of the customer is always right. I didn't hear back on this issue, and luckily that client didn't raise many tickets, so I didn't have to deal with them again. My guess is that the AM had to convince them to use the third-party software we supplied, but I never asked her how that discussion went. All I got was a chuckle from the rest of the team saying, "How didn't I think about that before?" and a pat on the back from my manager, which would come back and haunt me for the rest of my days at that company, since I became known as the last resort guy, which meant I had to deal with all the troublesome tickets. Don't you just love being the cleanup guy? The last resort guy? I don't understand that whole customer is always right statement. It's totally false. The customer is very rarely right. They may want something, but it doesn't mean that they deserve it or should get it. That's the first thing. Not to mention the fact they were totally in breach of contract by using software that they weren't supposed to use or that wasn't supported. How is this your fault? How is this your company's fault? Too British. Sometimes we all make mistakes. This story comes from a few years ago when I was still working in the law field. It was right after Christmas. The office was still pretty empty, but there were a few attorneys there. Most of the office took a holiday vacation, coming back after the new year. I get to work and sit down. I immediately get a call from one of the users sitting directly across from my office. Must have seen me come in, I guess. I answer and they say to me, "Nothing's coming up on my screen." I guess I don't even get a few seconds to myself before I start my day. Whatever, I could use some coffee anyway. I head over there and take a look. They look exhausted. They're sitting at their desks staring at the screen with a dead look and hitting random keys on their keyboard in hopes the screen will come up. I take one look at them, then look to my left and notice an empty docking station. I calmly pointed to the empty dock and said, "That might be your problem." They slowly get up and look at the dock, followed by a long sigh and a "God dang it." We had a chuckle and I went on my way. It's Monday and I didn't want to be there. I decided to not take the extra vacation day so I could make some extra progress on a project. I could have started complaining about them and how stupid they were, but it's early and I just spent 3 minutes trying to unlock my office door by hitting the unlock button on my car keys. Oh my god. At least I had my coffee. Hey, we've all done dumb stuff, that's for sure. And it's good that you were patient. You didn't blame the guy. You didn't, like you said, you didn't rock him with, how dumb can you be, all that. And he didn't try to blame you. That was good. So, yeah, it all worked out in the end. And you got your caffeine. Hey guys, do me a favor. Take a look at these videos when you get a second. I think you'll really enjoy them. And I appreciate you hanging out with me today. If you haven't already, can you do me a favor and maybe click subscribe if I've earned that subscription? Like the video and click that little bell icon so you don't miss the fat guy with the beard telling you stories. See ya.